Today is Saturday, October 26th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the Listener Feedback Show for Week 5 of Island of the Idols.
2 shows a week. We got our recap on Wednesday. Joanne and I hit all the major points for the episode and include some of our analysis. And then we turn it over to the super fans on Saturday to get their thoughts, their predictions, and their particular perspectives. Because sometimes a person from a different walk of life can help you understand something better. And I think we definitely have some examples of that in the feedback this week.
Excellent.
Just like we were hoping for. Anything we need to say before we get going?
I don't believe so.
Real quick, how many super fans this week?
20.
All right, 20 folks. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, different with the tribe shuffle going on. But let's check in and see what they thought. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, another great episode, and not a bad tribe swap, but I'm going to allow a great big woo! Yeah, that was an awesome episode, but no singing because I'm very sad Tom went home. Yeah, he might have not been the best player, but he was a likable guy, and he kind of surprised me a little bit based on the pregame. That's why they let him go, because they saw him as maybe a social threat and likable down the stretch, even though he might have not offered much in challenges. But I can't believe Karishma is still in the game. Are you kidding me? Here's a song for you guys. Remember Carmen San Diego? Where in the world is Karishma playing? Why in the world is she still in the game right now? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Oh, my goodness. Terrible challenge performer, period. I can't believe it. She's worse than Sandra, guys. And I think Sandra's gloating on Island of Idols there. Wow. The way the edit is looking, she is going to be the greatest GOAT to take, not get any votes. Wow, even worse than Nora. And Nora didn't do anything this episode. Although Nora did great in the challenge, dragging her in that first challenge there. And then we saw her with the no vote, but no one seems to know, so she dodged a bullet there. But wow, that team just keeps on losing, and it's clear, guys, now it's the purple team. I'm not saying it's going to be someone that wins, but they're going to dominate, I feel. You heard Missy and Aaron on the team, the other team that has the even numbers on Volkai. They're willing to flip for the better of their game, but we still don't know whose game it is right now. Tommy was working with Aaron. You got Elaine playing a good social game. It's anyone's, guys. Dean and Karishma got no chance of winning. Well, Karishma's public enemy number 1, Nora's number 2, and I'm going to say right now, Dean got no chance of winning either. He's completely oblivious with everything, and still doesn't get it with the Chelsea thing, in my opinion. But I really like Lauren, Missy. I'm hoping it's one of them. Not Dan. Can't stand Dan. We'll see what happens, guys. And I really like Kelly. Kelly is blossoming into a solid player as well. And Jason's redeeming himself, too, even better. That was an awesome Applebee's reward, by the way, too. I love it. That made me feel hungry. Well, I'm hoping for a good episode next week. Is the script going to change or what? Because right now the purple team all the way, in my opinion, but it's anyone's game except for Karishma, and I'm still going to say Nora, and I'm canceling Dean, too. But a good episode, guys. Take care. Woo!
Whoa. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Alyssa from Florida.
So Survivor, episode 5. This has been my favorite episode of Island of the Idols because no one went to the Island of the Idols.
Yay.
It started off with Dean becoming Detective Dean, interrogating everyone. And I thought that was super bad for his game because he looked really sketchy. But luckily for him, there was a swap. And I'm always surprised that people on the island are surprised when there's a swap because to me, it's so obvious. Like, they're not going to have 2 people set out on one tribe. So when I saw the swap, I thought purple was super strong. But when it comes to the orange tribe, I was just excited to see that Karishma and Nora were going to be together. That is so hilarious. Then when it came to the reward challenge, I was, okay, a reward challenge with product placement. So of course it's Applebee's, and with Krishma's comment about that being her favorite place to eat, well, we found one positive to Krishma's attitude. She's a cheap date. The challenge that they had to do for the reward is one of my favorite challenges. I had such a great time seeing it on Heroes, Hustlers, and Healers, so I was happy to see it again, although everyone looked like a mess going through this. With Karishma and Nora being paired together, it was really amazing to see how these 2 people that were on the bottom of their respective tribes showed the differences between them. Karishma basically being dead weight and Nora really fighting for it. I thought it was funny that in one of the tribals, Karishma said she was a physical threat and that's why they should have kept her around. It's so obvious in this reward challenge as well as in the elimination challenge that she's not a physical threat at all. I was kind of worried to see Dean hanging around with Kelly because I didn't want another showmance thing to happen with Kelly. Not that I think they'd be a showmance, but people would perceive them as one after what happened with Chelsea because I love Kelly. She's one of my favorite players. And I guess the only other thing I really can think of is that Nora really, I was so happy to see her talking strategy this episode. She was still her crazy self and tribal, but she also really showed that she was actually thinking some things through, which gave me a lot more respect for her. Well, I guess that's all for now. Hope this was a good first voice recording. Thanks.
Yeah, you did great. Good job, Alyssa.
And welcome.
Glad to have you here. Awesome. Yeah, as she was talking about Nora and Karishma in the reward challenge, I was thinking, yeah, you got crazy goat pulling goofy goat. It was quite the contrast. Next up, we got a call from Shanti.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Shanti from the Netherlands. I'm sitting in this beautiful botanical garden and I wanted to react to your latest episode about your comments about Karishma and what she said about her marriage, and that Stacy, you thought that her family would be embarrassed or wouldn't enjoy it. I really enjoyed her comments and what's the English word? Admire her for speaking about it. And I think all the people that are on Survivor talk about their families and tell their very private stories. That's just how they connect to each other. And it's just that Karishma's story was something that was shown. We've seen Aaron talk about his kids, and that's about, it's the same thing. And I really think that Karishma made a good connection with the other tribe members doing that. And I think also that they forget that there are cameras there and they just connect on a more human level. Also, I have a comment about Tom, about him saying in the tribal council about that he's just is himself and he shows what he is and people just can take it or leave it. And Janet saying that it was a comment that older men of his generation can make. I also think that it's a comment that older men, white older men, can make. But if you're a minority, then you can just have the same attitude, but people won't accept you. So I think that's an easier comment to make if you're a white older male. That's just what I think, saying from a minority standpoint. Okay, well, nice talking to you again. Bye.
All right, good job, Shanti. Shanti added in a note with her audio feedback too. She said, I forgot to add that Karishma's story could benefit other people going through likewise situations.
That's true.
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate you sharing your perspective there. Next up, we got a call from Kim and Cameron. All right, back together again.
Hi, this is Kim and Cameron from North Carolina. The dynamic duo is back together again.
That's right.
I'm going to start out by saying, how about that product placement? I don't go to Applebee's very often, but I think I might have to go get me a shark bowl pretty soon.
Yeah, I've said in my notes that if I were out there, I'd be cynical and be like, man, I'd prefer Chili's instead. They did the same thing with Outback a few years ago with Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, and honestly, I think we both prefer Outback to Applebee's, but whatever.
Yep.
So at the reward itself, they show a little bit about Missy and Aaron. I'm really wondering if they'll flip or not, but something tells me right now they will, they won't, I don't know, honestly. That reward challenge, Karishma a few weeks ago said she's the strongest woman out there. She could throw Chelsea across the room if she wanted. It didn't look to me like she could even throw her own self up a foot of sand, so I kind of doubt that now.
I like the way Kelly and Dean seem to be building a relationship, but Cameron was talking about she's definitely cutthroat because she turned around and was willing to take him out, even though they had that, whoa, it's a small world thing going on.
Yeah, but then I put in my notes, it seems like she would just throw him on the side of the road in a heartbeat. She just wants to further her own game. She doesn't care about her relationships, which could bite her in the end. You never know. I honestly completely forgot about Boston Rob and Sandra until they hiked up to the spectator box at the end of the episode. And you know what? I think, honestly, I kind of liked the break from the Island of the Idols this episode. Made it feel more like real Survivor.
Yep, I didn't miss it. Now, I really enjoyed the tribal... the tribal Nora. She's a funny one. I think voting Tom instead of Karishma was a mistake because even if Karishma's a flipper to Vokai's side, I just think that they need Tom to help them win the challenges.
Yeah, I mean, Karishma's a liability. I'd say the same thing. Who's going next? I'm really thinking next week it's going to be Elaine if Vokai goes to tribal, and probably Dean if Lyra goes, but also maybe Karishma. But for those safe picks next week, they are easy in my opinion because all those former Vokai that are now on Lyro, they are very safe in my opinion.
Yeah, we were talking about who from the former Vokai is actually vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I think Dan possibly because, I don't know, Missy, who knows what Missy, who's she on the tribe with? Whoever she's with.
She's with Dan now.
They're going to do what, she's with Dan?
Yeah, she's on Vokai.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, but I think Dan could be in trouble from the Vokai. But other than that, I don't know. They all seem pretty safe to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Nora's kind of the cop-out if Lyra wants to flip on themselves, or the former Vokai on Lyra, rather. In terms of who's on Vokai now, I mean, if they go to Rocks next week, like next time predicted, then they go to Rocks and you won't know who's going. But say Lauren, Jason, and Tommy want to take out Dan, I feel like he's the only one who's slightly on the outs within them. I think Lauren, Jason, and Tommy are in a good spot.
Yeah, well, I hope they don't go to Rocks, because that just doesn't make sense.
Nope, not for this early.
Not for an individual game. That definitely doesn't make sense. So, is there anything else, Cameron?
I think that's about it. Tribal was very interesting. We'll just have to see how it goes until the merge.
Yep, nice to see you, Cameron.
It was great to see you, Kim.
All right, bye, everybody.
Excellent. That's fun getting to hear you guys back together again. Next up, we got an email from Mike in Omaha. Survivor fans, have any of you ever seen anyone so overjoyed at the mention of Applebee's? It's definitely a theme in the feedback.
I don't believe so.
No. I mean, wow, that was nuts. I felt especially sorry for the staff or whoever was serving them because I noticed a few of the castaways giving them hugs. Was that Tommy?
Tommy definitely did.
At least he hugged the guy that was there. If I was those people, I'd be like, yeah, here's your fajita, but I don't want a smelly hug from you. I enjoyed hearing more about Karishma and had a very different take than Stacy. I can see where he's saying some of what he had, but it left me feeling like I got a little more insight to her as a person, and while I'm sure they are all aware that cameras are on them, she wasn't necessarily saying this to the cameras. They just captured it. Okay, I'm not sure how that's different, but okay. Tons of things the castaways say about their personal lives never air anymore, and it's almost always about game. I found this refreshing to get some insight into her personal story. Off her pregame interview, I liked Karishma. I think I still do, but she's got a long road ahead of her. Playing the sort of game she is, her path to winning seems all but impossible. Definitely agree with that.
It seems like she's at least playing now by telling her story, by interacting with the people, and it looks like she's just now making an effort to really play.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I gotta say, if I were, we're taking a pause right in the middle of Mike's feedback, but commenting on it. If I were on a tribe, if I were on Lyro and Karishma was there, I'd be like, this is just awesome. This is someone who's on some self-discovery trip, and they seem like they're a vote. This is golden. That instead of me against 19, it's, me against 18 or me against 14 at this point. So that's you'd have to be thrilled to come across someone like her, at least from that perspective. It's like she's not really here to win. She doesn't seem to have any chance to win. And yeah, that part would seem, I've thought about that this week, and that does seem very compelling. Aaron still can't relax. His interview with Josh Wigler left me thinking he was way too intense, and I've seen nothing to change my view of him. He's in contention for my least favorite this season, unquestionably. I think that he and Missy, who I like considerably better, both have a chronic case of big move-itis. I picked Tom to go because I figured he might get swapped away from one of his handlers, and without them, his anorexic social game was going to have him likely sink like a stone. That's exactly what I ended up concluding, too. I really like that we did not have to see the survivors shuffled into 3 minute tribes, but kept it at 2. Hopefully CBS recognized that 3 tiny tribes is all right occasionally, but it also really messes with the overall formula of the game. Often even more than, say, a tribe shuffle from 2 back into 2 different tribes like we're seeing this season. I love Janet this episode. She's someone I would align with, but I think Joanne is right that she will have a tough time making it to the end. I feel darn good with my USB Lauren, mainly because they keep giving her these confessionals that don't necessarily reveal much. It reminds me of Michelle Fitzgerald in Co Wrong. It's like the editors don't want you to forget about her, which is music to my ears. I agree with Stacy and Joanne that Tommy seems great. I like him too, but he'll have a nearly impossible hill to climb in getting to that final tribal council. He'll have such a huge target on his back. Still loving this season and the podcast. All right. Thanks, Mike. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Mary.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's Mary from Michigan, and trying to get my feedback in here the last second. I've been a little under the weather and working a lot, so I haven't really been on my A game this week and really didn't see the show that well. I usually watch it more than once and didn't really get to do that. So I'm not sure. As far as the swap, the 4-4 split, I don't think anyone's going to Rocks. That would be nice, but I don't think that'll happen. I think that we will see Aaron and Missy flip on Elaine, or possibly Elizabeth, or the other way around would be more interesting if they get wind of that and Elaine and Elizabeth flipped on Aaron or Missy. I could see the tribe wanting to get rid of them just because they're such a threat. So that would be more interesting, I think. Not sure they'll lose, but who knows in these challenges. As far as the other tribe, I really wish they would get rid of Nora and Karishma already, but we'll see what happens, I guess. I'm thinking maybe Dean's in trouble, but I guess we gotta wait and see. Didn't really miss Rob and Sandra. Don't have too much else to say. It's a shame that Dean couldn't pull off that basket. That would have been more of an interesting tribal. Sorry to see Tom go. I thought he was a cool guy. It was gonna happen sooner or later. So honestly, that's all I got this week, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope we have a more interesting tribal next week. We'll see. All right, take care, everyone.
Good deal. Thanks, Mary. Hope you're feeling better. And I agree with Mary. If for some reason somehow Vokai ends up losing, then I expect Aaron or Missy to get taken down. Now is the perfect time to take them out before the merge. And Elaine and Elizabeth, I think, have enough game awareness to do something like that. It's, from what we've been shown, the question ends up being, hey, can Tommy overcome the initial bond he made with Aaron to protect each other as meat shields? But now is absolutely the time to take out Aaron and Missy to go in that direction.
Yeah, that you and I were talking about that, and I thought that would be most exciting for me.
Yeah.
To happen.
To see that.
One of those
how
two.
That played out. Yeah, maybe.
But Elaine's so loyal. I don't know if she'd have to know that they were targeting her. That
they were willing to let her go. Yeah.
That Missy and Aaron were willing to target her.
Yeah, it might come down to what if any connections Elizabeth's been able to make, other than finding spiders in her hair.
Yeah, you thought that was Nora.
I thought it was Nora, but yeah, you
I
pointed
said
it out.
Elizabeth, and you said no, that was Nora.
You were right.
I know it, but I gave in to you and said, okay, we'll say Nora.
Thanks again, Mary. Gave in. Nice.
I did.
Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. This is Christiana from Boston. I was really excited to see this week that they swapped from 2 tribes and stayed at 2 tribes. I'm not a huge fan of the 2 to 3 tribe swap. One, because I just think it's really unfair to make a third tribe reset up camp. Back when they first started doing it, or at least when I first saw it in Cambodia, I don't think that's necessarily the first time, but that tribe was so miserable. They had no food, they had nothing, they had a crappy beach. I just feel like they always get the short end of the stick for that third tribe, except there's some times where that tribe, just based on who gets on the tribe, like dominates. They never have to go back to tribal, like in David versus Goliath and Ghost Island. So I don't know, it's hit or miss. I would just rather stick with the 2 to the 2. I feel like it keeps the game more consistent. I was laughing at their reactions to Applebee's, and I wish I was excited about anything as much as Missy is excited about Applebee's. But it looked like they were eating good, and when you aren't only eating a cup of rice every day, some fajitas and buffalo wings probably sound like the best meal you've ever had. Stacey, exactly. I definitely agree with you. I think the new Vokai, they're not going to go to another tribal council until they merge. The tribes are so uneven in terms of physical capabilities. And I did a little research because I am fully bought into the Orange Tribe curse, which I feel like that kind of dates back to Ghost Island with Malolo. And I did a little math around between Ghost Island, David versus Goliath, and then now Island of the Idols, where they did the purple and the orange tribes. And of collectively 19 pre-merge tribal councils, the Orange Tribe went to 13 of the 19. And so I feel like those numbers really speak for themselves, and maybe they shouldn't do purple and orange anymore. Let's go back to the reds, the yellows, the blues, some nice primary colors. Nora and Karishma on the same tribe, just like I was dreaming of. It was pretty entertaining. Gotta give props to Nora for literally dragging Karishma through the sand with her wrists, I guess. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Karishma really opened up to the other tribe, and maybe she just never felt comfortable, or maybe she thought it was like that was her only kind of like window of opportunity to build relationships, so she was really leaning on that. But I mean, it kept her there another 3 days. I don't know what to expect with next week, because assuming that Orange just goes back to 2 more tribals and then they merge at 13, do they care that they are just going to go to the next 2 tribal councils? They have 2 more old Lyra to vote out if they want to. Or do they get rid of Karishma in the next one and try to avoid the final tribal council before the merge, assuming they merge at 13, which honestly I kind of hope they don't. They shook it up and stuck with the 2 tribes. If they merged at 12 or 11, I personally would enjoy that. I'm not a huge fan of the giant juries, especially with the new format. I just feel like some people don't even get to talk. But anyway, I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say, and I hope everyone has a great week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Christiana. Yeah, Lyro's path is easy and clear. The only worry that you need to have as original Vokai that are now on Lyro is someone messing it up. And you got Agent Confusion Nora there ready to do that at the drop of a hat. So who knows what'll happen. It'll be a wild ride with her around for sure. But yeah, it's just easy. They made the right choice because Tom's social influence, Karishma and Dean, they were able to quickly suss out, thanks to Karishma and Dean telling them this in explicit terms that they had no connection. So Tom was the bigger social threat. They got rid of Tom. Next they'll get rid of Dean. Then if they have to, they'll get rid of Karishma. But again, from the social game aspect, she's golden. It's a vote with no hope.
Or they could just get rid of Nora. I don't think they would upset anybody else on Vokai.
They wouldn't, but you don't want to. And why risk it?
Well,
and it could potentially become very boring for us. That's the thing.
Well,
as the viewer that you worry about, and you would lose the X factor that is Nora.
Vokai, if you're one of those 2, I can see why they would want to target another Vokai since she's targeting them. Why wouldn't they take her out if they could?
Well, just to demonstrate how ineffectual she is, what is she going to do? She's going to bond with Karishma and Dean? You got to have some big goof up on the part of Jack and Jamal, or you got to have Janet and Kelly somehow on board with Nora, which seems unlikely.
She thinks they are.
It's like Nora's vote isn't even needed. You can just let her run around.
Another point in case.
Jibber jabber all you want. Well, you need to take care of the original Lyros, the old Lyros.
They still got plenty of numbers. They're still in the lead. They can afford to get rid of one.
You need to take the Lyro while there's time to take them. You don't want them to be there at the merge.
What you're saying.
That's why they have more. That's why it's more important to take them than Nora.
But if Nora's being the most annoying...
Well, they've put up with her till this point. You know, they're 14 days. They're 2 weeks into Project Nora, so I imagine they can handle it a little longer while they get rid of a couple more cycles.
I'm sure they could if they choose.
While they get rid of Dean and
But
Karishma.
she's still an option.
All right, thanks again, Christiana. Next up, we got a call from Noelle-n-Immie.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Noelle
and Immie
from Albuquerque, calling with our feedback for episode 5, Island of the Idols. Immie, you wanted to go first. What did you want to say?
I'm so sad Tom got voted out, and so that's all I have to say. Thank you. Oh, and also, I'm sad for Karishma because she didn't get the Applebee's reward like she really wanted to. Okay. Peace.
Oh my gosh. I really liked this episode. A lot happened. I guess I'll start with Dean trying to figure out who voted out Chelsea. I'm surprised that he didn't know right away who was responsible for that. Maybe he did and the edit just played up him not knowing. The challenges were both really great. Which one came first, honey? Was it the one where they were crawling around in the sand? That one looked so hard. That looked so hard. I think that in that challenge, Nora's stock went up because she did really, really well. Karishma's, obviously, I don't know how much farther down it could go. I think they did a great job of choosing the puzzle people because Jason, Jamal, Aaron, and Kelly are all really good at puzzles, so they did a good choice there. The next challenge was where they ended up having to toss the balls into the baskets. I kept saying, I hope they picked Dean to throw the balls, and they did, so I was glad about that. It seemed like it was really close, so I felt like Dean was too hard on himself for losing, and it didn't seem like his tribe was blaming him for that. And then everybody right away is scrambling to get a good spot on their team, and by that I mean everybody from Lyro was scrambling, even the people who had even numbers. I was kind of surprised they didn't try harder to pull somebody over, but I guess that's how it is. And also, one thing I wanted to say was, last week I didn't understand why they didn't vote out Karishma. I mean, I guess it's not that I didn't understand why they didn't vote out Karishma as much as I didn't understand why they voted out Chelsea. So now this week I have a different perspective on it. I guess maybe they were thinking, we're going to be down in numbers after this vote. If we switch tribes, we need to leave a goat for them to vote out right away. And that was Karishma, I guess. So that could have been what they were trying to do. And then the new tribe didn't take the bait because they voted out Tom, which is sad. I also really liked him. And then our DVR cut off and we didn't get to see next time on Survivor, so we'll try watching that tomorrow. Can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. There was a lot going on in that episode. Too bad we didn't get to see Rob and Sandra. I guess next week that'll happen.
I love the new tribes.
Me too. That's exciting. Oh, I think if we had known how the tribes were going to be, we, the Survivor fans that listen to this podcast, I think we all would have picked some pretty different picks for vote outs. I mean, that was pretty lopsided, right? That's hilarious. So I'm really excited that there are new tribes and we're going to get to see more from Vokai. We haven't seen much from them lately, so that'll be great. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Noelle. Thanks, Immie. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. Just calling in as a quick feedback on this episode. I think that this season actually, it seems to me that it's pretty strong so far, and so yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. The challenges are great, and the personalities are strong, but not too strong, so it's just like annoying, but it was nice to see that Rob and Sandra were kind of a minimal element this week. I think that was not a bad thing, although I think it would be awkward to just drop the whole premise now. It seems like that would be kind of, why'd you have it for like 3 episodes and then never again? So yeah, I think that it was fun to see a little bit more scrambling, and the swap was a good mix. That's it. I just thought it was good. I will say that I feel like the final out seems kind of to come out of left field. Like a lot of times I feel kind of blindsided by I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention but it seemed like Tom was like, what? It was like, well, what? I mean, he was blindsided, of course, but it seemed like we were too. Winner of the week, I'm going to give it to Karishma for sticking around, managing to stick it out, even though she's obviously the weakest link on the tribe. Yeah, the loser of the week, I'm going to give that to Dean, even though he's been working hard trying to get back on top, but I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be pulling it off, and I don't think he has actually that much game, just doing what he can, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. All right, everyone have a great weekend. We got a ton to do, so I'm just going to call it good, and can't wait to hear what everyone else thought. And yeah, I am still sitting pretty at the bottom of the side challenge, but you know, it's still early in the season. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, bye guys.
I like that disclaimer right at the end. Good stuff. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got an email from Hayden in Kansas.
Dear Joanne and Stacy, hello again. This week I finally got a break in my work so I can I can get back into the podcast. Since a lot of little things happened in the episode, I decided to give my brief opinions on all of the cast. Aaron has really turned his game around since losing his weasel friend on day 3. I honestly could see him going far in the game and maybe even winning. Dan, not much to say about him except that he has improved since the first episode. Detective Dean Kowalski needs to find an idol fast, because if he doesn't, he's likely to be voted off soon. Elaine is having a really good social game, but with the rumor of Rock's next episode, she might get voted out for that social game and strength of hers. I hope Elaine stays in, as she is adding a ton of humor and laughter to the game. Go Elaine! Elizabeth, ever since the first episode, she looks like she could make it far in the game. She has the strength, knowledge, and social game to be in the final 3. However, I can't see her winning because she doesn't seem to be making any big moves. Jack, my USB, was in a bit of danger after the Molly vote, but has rebounded since and is doing better than ever on a tribe where Vokai dominate, and from the next preview, making better bonds with Jamal. He looks to be surviving quite nicely. Jamal is, in my opinion, a worthy contender for Final 3. Jamal has an idol in his pocket and has good bonds with the rest of the Vokai tribe, though Nora seems like she could be gunning for him, so fingers crossed. Janet is always on the right side of the vote. She's making big plays, and is doing well in the challenges. Enough said. Jason, nothing really noteworthy about him, besides him looking like a nice guy. Charisma, oh boy, it's my least favorite survivor. Charisma whining and her horrible gameplay are making me cringe every time I watch her. The new Lyro tribe should have voted her out this episode because, as Rob said, they are just going to keep losing challenges. Kelly has an idol and has good ties to her tribe. I think Kelly could really make it far in the game, but only if something about the truth of the island of the idols doesn't go down. Lauren, can't really say much about her except that she's sitting out on the bench next week. My vote off for this week was Missy. She's playing the game really well and is a social, physical, and strategic threat. I'm surprised that the Lyro tribe did not know that the Chelsea vote off was her doing. Missy is, in my opinion, a more strategic Michaela who will definitely make merge. Nora, after episode 2 aired, I dreaded Nora. Now, though, I really like her, as her funny and fail moments make me laugh out loud. And with her making a move next week, I am all aboard the Nora train. Last but not least is Tommy. He's playing an amazing social game and is being really smart as well. I wish I could have had Tommy as my 4th grade teacher. And those are all of my thoughts about all of the Survivor cast. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for this awesome podcast. All right, and thank you, Hayden. Up next, we've got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana. I'm mad. I didn't want Tom to go. I like Tom. I'm mad. I'm mad that he got voted off. I really wanted Karishma to go. I had Karishma as my vote off, and it was all going so well. It was going so perfectly. And lo and behold, they vote Tom off. But I liked the way this tribe swap happened. Everybody except Janet, that's the new Vokai tribe, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them in future episodes. I'm glad that there wasn't a forced reward, then Island of the Idol segment, then Immunity Challenge, because that would have been just so much. All these tribals have been good. It's been entertaining. It's been cool gameplay early on, but it's very reminiscent to Ghost Island and Game Changers. All the interesting people are getting voted off really early, and it's leaving us with kind of duds, except like that Dominic and Wendell and Michael Yerger, or that Sari and just Sari. It's disheartening. I feel like it could change. The pace could change soon, but I don't want to see that again. because it's not fun. You watch the pre-merge of Ghost Island and Game Changers, and you're like really into it and then a certain point, see, this is just not fun anymore. And it's clear what the point in is Game Changers. I don't need to point it out. And then it's probably that Chris Noble boot. And then after that, or no, it's in Ghost Island, it's a little later. It's Michael Yerger boot. And then after that, it's just not entertaining anymore. Let's just hope once we get to the merge, it's not a giant Pagonging, because that's not fun. Get rid of the orange buff. Please, do it. Just throw away the orange buff. I swear. So I'm going to be 18 in a week, and I'm going to apply for Survivor. If I get put on an orange tribe, oh lordy. Of course, it's my dream. I'm going to be so excited. But in the back of my head, I'm going to be, oh no. All right, that's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks, Parker.
It seems like we've been waiting a long time for Parker to turn 18.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to him being on the show. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, once again, I thought Karishma was going. Somebody else took her place. I can understand, in thinking about it, why they chose Tom, because they know they've got Karishma's vote. Whatever they tell her, she'll do. And Dean's disgruntled with his previous team. So for now, they can count on him to go along with them as well. I do wonder how he's going to feel, though. This is the second time that he's been completely left out of the voting, but we'll see how that goes. Stacey, I wanted to comment on what you said about Karishma opening up and talking about her personal life on television. I thought it was really interesting, and I sort of thought about what Kelly said about how we all have our own truths and perceptions. And what I saw from that was somebody who was damaged and being brave enough to open up to this new team, which she hadn't done with her previous team. And when she talked about having no self-worth, which she got from her parents, and then finding the same thing in her marriage, which has become more of a partnership, I guess, than her being a wife. And I thought that was pretty gutsy of her. Now, she said it to Janet and Jack. I noticed they were not sharing anything in return, so I don't know if that's going to do her well. But she's playing Survivor for a different reason, and I hope that whatever she experiences, that she finds what she was looking for on Survivor. Do I want her to stay in the game? No. I would be really upset if she ends up in the final three, but I'm always constantly surprised when they're keeping her around. Now, when you talked about Nora and her maniacal laugh, and you mentioned a personal connection, I thought, oh my gosh, it never occurred to me. I knew someone just like Nora. There was a group of us working together, and after we left this organization, we lost track of her. But I do remember that when we'd be out, she never was quite with the group. Once in a while, she'd have a smile on her face, or she'd be laughing about something really inappropriately, and I'd ask her, what was so funny, and she'd talk about these fanciful thoughts, had nothing to do with anything that was going on at the time. A friend of mine and I found out that her mother died, and we went to the funeral home to pay our respects, and she was there. And as soon as she saw us, she came running across the room, threw herself into our arms, and was sobbing and crying, and she said, "You must hate me." And honestly, we had no idea what she was talking about. And after we paid our respects and after we left, we never heard or saw from her again. So another Nora. Anyway, glad there was no Island of the Idols. Enjoying this season and interested in hearing what the rest have to say. And talk to you next week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, David. Thanks for sharing some of that personal experience there. I will clarify, and I'll say some more about this in the wrap-up. I never said that I thought it was a bad idea to share personal information. It was the nature of what was shared. But I'll explain some more of that at the end. Okay, thanks again, David. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Rodney.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans everywhere. It's Rodney from Illinois. Just checking in this week. It is Saturday morning. I'm on my way to work. I just wanted to drop off my feedback. I just got to watch the episodes this morning. The first thing I noticed this episode, when they split the tribes, I paused the TV and I told my wife, I broke it down for her. I said, basically, Laidlaw is the odd man out on that tribe, and that tribe looks like the weakest. And knowing that normally at the swap. You usually get kind of a more physical challenge. I figured that for sure that tribe was going to go to tribal. I figured Karishma was going to try to attach herself because she has no attachment to her old tribe, and Dean also no longer has attachment to his old tribe. So I looked at her and I said, boom, Dean's going to pair up with Jamal, and Karishma's going to try to get in with the ladies. That leaves Laidlaw as the odd man out, and he will go home. And then all the rigmarole of the episode proved that correct. I was glad that I was able to see that when I was watching. I was pretty proud of myself. The other thing I noticed in the episode was how Probst was cutting down Karishma the whole time, and I know that he does that quite often. It's nothing personal. But there are other times that he tries to build characters up and try to make them feel good about their accomplishments in some of the more difficult challenges, like with Suri and the water challenge that she struggled in. So I wonder what personality trait or what characteristic Probst looks at more and tries to encourage versus, someone like Karishma that he points out their flaws as opposed to try to give them words of encouragement. Just an interesting thought exercise, I guess. But thanks for all you guys do. Have a good week. Hopefully I can make some feedback in next week. Bye.
Thanks, Rodney. Rodney made me wonder, I bet Karishma has been challenging for the producers that are out there with her, too.
Why?
I think that she's the type of person, given the limited view of her that we've had, granted, that would attempt to place extra demands on them or to challenge them in some way with regards to whether or not she was going to stay or threatening to quit or something along those lines. Because she's had such difficulty just being there. It wouldn't surprise me to find out that she's made it difficult on those around her in the production staff.
Okay.
Thanks, Rodney. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from smoky Northern California. So I was a little disappointed with this episode. I'll get into that. So we open with Detective Dan, who, although he's interrogating everyone, kind of doesn't have a clue. We move to the tribe swap, which was cool. I liked how everybody ended up. I was happy Karishma was on the losing team because I really still wanted her to go home. And then we kind of moved to an Applebee's commercial. And here's a thought. Am I the only person in America who has never eaten at Applebee's and didn't understand this grand, oh my God, about Applebee's? And furthermore, I always think if I was on Survivor and the food rewards, I would have nothing to eat because I'm allergic to dairy and wheat. I don't drink. So I'd probably be like, hey, you guys can have my reward for bonus social points. I actually started counting how many times somebody said Applebee's and stopped counting at about 25. It was very strange to me. Applebee's, Applebee's, Applebee's. So Karishma blows the challenge again, and she flips so fast, and her method seems to be total TMI, which was uncomfortable to watch. And I just kept thinking, oh my God, her family's watching this right now. What is she going to do? What's she going to say? So it's really weird because old Lyro, all of them just suddenly, they're like, I am done with my old tribe. I want to flip. Aaron and Tommy are bros. Missy and Aaron are like, we are done with Orange. And the only people who seem to hold on to their old tribe are Elaine and maybe Tom. It was just odd to me that they were all, we're done, we're moving forward. I've never quite seen it that extreme before. I was a little disappointed. Then some humor with Nora. She has lost her vote, but she's still talking about elimination as if she has a vote. And I wrote down a direct quote. She wrote, I really have to think about it in order to make the best decision for this vote. And I'm like, you have no vote. You have to think about what? You have no decision to make. You have no vote. I was a little shocked at how Janet talks so highly of Tom while dissing Dean, who is still being detected at Tribal Council. And the whole time she was going to vote for Tom. I thought that was excellent, hiding her true motivation. But I still don't understand why they voted out Tom. I was sad to see him go. I really wanted them to vote out Karishma. I don't understand the holding on to the dead weight to have somebody who will vote for you, because all they're going to do is end up at Tribal Council next week. Because she's so bad at challenges and she's holding them back, they could keep someone strong and not go to Tribal Council. So I was just kind of banging my head against the wall going, why are you guys holding on to this dead weight. And of course, I've had her as a vote-off person 3 times and lost the point like 3 times, so I might just be bitter. Can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. And thanks again for all that you do. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca. Good job. Yeah, Janet, she's camouflaged. She's like an ambush predator. That's my sense of her at this point, given the little bit that we've gotten.
She's pretty awesome with all that she does. One of the extra clips, she went out and caught 3 fish.
Yes.
With just the Hawaiian sling.
Yeah.
Tom said, now don't come back without some fish.
And she sure enough came back with fish, yeah. She scoped out the whole reef and figured out where they were, and yeah, she's something else. And scary, like Rebecca was saying, to watch how supportive she was of Tom while at the same time eliminating him because of being able to suss out that he was indeed the bigger threat to the social aspect of the game, and it was time for him to go. She understood him, saw where he fit, all that. Had it just, and
Wouldn't
they executed.
Be an awesome winner?
Yeah, that would be exciting to see that come together. I mean, she's still got a long road because it's so unlikely. Just for an older female or a big physical male threat like Jamal, both of those paths seem incredibly difficult. Although Jamal's got a little easier because he's got a full-powered hidden immunity idol.
I think the majority of these women think we don't need the men. There's nothing we can't do.
Sure. Yeah. It seems to be the case for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But at the same time, they tend to view each other as bigger threats, and so they undo the power they could have if they were to unite. We saw that demonstrated by Lyro.
They know how dangerous they are.
Yeah. Good deal. Thanks again, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I was away from home for a few days and couldn't watch Survivor live or on DVR. Fortunately, I have CBS All Access, so I'm good to go for feedback. Excellent. This week's observations: Detective Dean, more like Inspector Clouseau. Yeah, he was a bit of a comedy routine in his attempt, wasn't he? Missy says Dean shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. Wouldn't he have to know who helped him in order to do that? After the swap, Handsy Dan is on a different team. He looked like he greeted everyone with innocent handshakes, but he was really marking his territory. Oh no, he got a hug in, right? Didn't we see Dan get a hug in?
I don't remember.
Yeah. The buff boxes looked like party favors. If they hadn't done the blindfold challenge last week, they could have whacked piñatas for the Applebee's reward. In the inchworm challenge, Nora looked like an airport tug dragging 747 Karishma. Jeff said the Applebee's reward is the biggest of the season. We have one in town. I think we went once about a decade ago. I guess it beat Survivor Pizza. The Applebee's seating arrangement reminded me of the Last Supper. It did have that kind of setup to it. The matchups aren't perfect because there were only 8. But Aaron aligned with Judas, Tommy with Jesus, and Missy with Doubting Thomas. Foreshadowing? Karishma is so ready to flip that she might as well be a flapjack. I'm not sure that Dean, being your friend's ex, is a good reason for trusting him. Karishma got marriage counseling from her new tribe. When she's done on Survivor, she'll be appearing on Dr. Phil. Yeah, it had that sense about it. What is it with Elaine in wrestling? The sole survivor doesn't get a title belt. Dean might have won the challenge if he hadn't started with Rick Barry shots. This season's been a bit light on character development. We sometimes watch Music Choice on cable, which lists only 3 factoids for each artist. Tom's would be 1, former NHL player. Nora's inappropriate laughing and big toothy smile remind me of the Joker. Now all she needs is white skin and green hair. If Dean makes it to Ego Island, his lesson will be to avoid generalizations at tribal council. Next time, Liz learns that a hair idol beats having a bug in your hair. Vokai might go to rocks, and Aaron wants quid pro quo. Will Vokai rock the vote? Will Aaron get impeached? Tune in next time. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Good job. Enjoyed that. Thanks, Josh. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. So finally, I got a vote out point this season. Tom, the most unlikable person who acted so privileged, is gone. I was so happy to see him go. And of course, I got a point. I think Kelly made the right choice in regards to Dean. Oh my God, he seems such a slimy character. But Kelly is smart. I think she'll go a lot deeper into the game. Now, I have a few observations in regards to the challenge and why it was so bad. I don't understand why they had Karishma doing the swimming part of the challenge when the lifeguard and 2 of the younger males didn't. And those 4 on the plank, only 1 did anything regarding shooting the baskets. The other 3 did nothing. They didn't take part. So why couldn't have Karishma been part of those people? If they would have done that, they would have won the challenge. Horrible job of choosing spots, I should say. Now, I want to address the bit about Karishma and her mentioning arranged marriage of her parents, and which was shown. All that bit, I know Stacy didn't like that she mentioned about her life, but I was listening to Rob's podcast, and they also mentioned that the contestants, they share a lot about their private lives among themselves, and normally production will not show that, but in this case they did. So I don't think it was in her hands, and could have been that they were talking about their life and she opened up about arranged marriages and things like that. It is always the case in the Western world where they go arranged marriage without understanding what it is. Arranged marriage is not that they catch 2 people and say, oh, get married like Princess Diana and Charles. But these are people who are just introduced by their parents, and the couple will go out on a date, they'll meet each other. If they like each other, they get along, they say yes. If they don't, they say no. And it is so much so like what happens here. Your friends introduce you to somebody, and then these people date and they do things like that. So I don't see there's anything wrong. And in her parents' generation, it was more common than it is now. So I don't see anything wrong in that. It's just that's how people meet. So that's about it. That's my little rant about everything, because unfortunately that's another question I get asked by, not anymore, but initially, oh, did you have an arranged marriage? Yeah, like, okay. Anyway, so looking forward to the next episode. Bye.
Excellent. Thank you, Rashmi. I appreciate it. See, that was exactly what I was hoping for, is that we'd gain some new insight into some of that. And the way Rashmi framed it helped me see it a lot clearer and gave me some knowledge I did not have in that regard. I like how you put that together. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hi, everyone. It's Justin from Michigan. So this week I finally realized I need to start taking notes throughout the episode, or at least immediately after the episode, because I had a bunch of thoughts throughout, and I had a bunch of tidbits I wanted to share, and now it's Saturday morning, and I can't remember them. So I'm going to start taking notes during the episode so that I can give a little bit more insight. So I'll focus in on the Aaron and Missy situation. I mean, how are they not viewed as a power couple? I mean, they seem to be socializing a lot. Even though it's not romantic, it's not a showmance, those are 2 strong players that are close. Nobody seems to be perceiving them as power couples, so I don't understand that. On that same note, they're so willing to flip that it's actually could potentially hurt them. So if they end up losing and those other 4 stay tight, they go up to them and say, yeah, let's go Elaine, let's go Elizabeth. Why wouldn't they just say, okay, we're going to go to Elaine and Elizabeth and tell them they're going for them. Now we get out the stronger threat from the other tribe, so we get either Missy or Aaron. That would make way more sense. I mean, to me, that's way too early to jump ship. I'm not sure if they've actually actively done that or if they're just showing that with careful editing, but you should at least create the illusion that you're going to stay tight with your old tribe. That way you might be able to find cracks that weren't weren't obvious, but might be there. So that's my thought on that. When you have 4-4, to me it makes no sense unless you're in like a Karishma situation where you're clearly on the bottom. Where those four, Missy, Aaron, Elaine, and Elizabeth, I don't see a clear bottom person there. I think they all contribute. So that's my thoughts on that situation. Looking forward to what everyone else has to say.
Yeah, excellent, Justin. And indeed, Aaron, Missy, Elaine, Elizabeth, and it was previously Tom were the core five that were running Lyro. So, yeah, ideally they would withhold some of that in hopes of making some kind of inroads. I suspect the reason we didn't see anything from Lauren this week, because we've been shown already with the whole thing in the previous Vokai vote out how perceptive she was in sussing out threats. And they're holding back sharing what Lauren has observed or whatever her assessment has been because she's got something dialed in on these folks. And so they don't want to spoil their story arc, and therefore they're going to have to make her purple until they get to make a move in that regard. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Krystle.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Krystle from Pasadena. Just wanted to share a few thoughts on this most recent episode. I enjoyed seeing the tribe swap, and I really liked seeing how even the teams ended up being, and was really curious to see how everyone was going to work together. What I didn't appreciate is the way that Karishma played the victim for most of the first half of the episode and said that her previous tribe was bullying her, which, again, I have said this before, I think Karishma is very over the top and dramatic, and the word bully is very serious, and to accuse them of bullying her, I don't think that was the case. I feel like when you bully someone, it's more personal, and I don't think that anything that her former tribe said about her was inaccurate, so I don't think that she has an accurate depiction of what's actually going on, and that seemed to carry on throughout most of the episode for me. I was really focused on her and her reactions because I became really frustrated by the things that she was saying and how she almost was in a bit of denial about her importance in this game. I get that she just wants to preserve herself and her game, and more power to her the longer she's able to stick around for doing that. I get that that's part of the game, but watching her has been kind of frustrating, and I don't really like her as a player. On the other hand, getting to see players like Janet really play a lot more, maybe because she had to go to tribal, that was really great to see, and I am becoming a bigger fan of Kelly. I really like seeing her game as well. And I was happy that we didn't get Island of the Idols this week. It's nice to get a little bit of a break. It was a happy surprise, and I like that they focused more on the game this week. So that was a very positive reaction. And to see Tom go, I was a little bit surprised, but I think the game will move on without him. I didn't really feel like it was a huge loss, and I'm really excited to see how the season progresses. That's pretty much it for now. Again, thanks for all you do, and can't wait to hear what everyone has to say. Have a great week. Bye.
All right, good job. Thanks, Krystle. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, we had a tribe swap this week, and I have to say it was really just so-so for me. I mean, how is it possible that Elaine and Elizabeth and just that four core group that are close with each other, how on earth is it possible that they got on the same tribe together and that the three that were basically on the outs got left on the other tribe? It just all seems so coincidental to me. It's just too coincidental. I mean, I just kind of hoped that there would be a little bit more drama where somebody would have been left behind or a little bit more uncomfortable not being with the people that they're close with or comfortable with. I mean, I guess you can argue that Tom was close with Elaine and Elizabeth and he didn't get to be on the tribe with them. Mm-hmm. But Tom is also the older male, and so you could argue that he's just kind of on the outs by virtue of being the older male. And then Dean and Karishma, of course, they speak for themselves. I don't know. I feel like we lost out on some real good drama that could have happened had the swap not gone the way it went. I don't know, and I think I just found this last episode just really kind of boring. I don't know, maybe I really do need kind of like a good Island of the Idols segment to spice things up, but you know what it really is now that I'm thinking about it? I mean, I think it was the fact that this episode was just so charisma heavy. It was just charisma around every corner. First, she was kind of talking to her new tribe about her life back home, and I'm with you, Stacey. I really kind of felt like I was an eavesdropper on that conversation. It was just kind of, I agree, airing your dirty laundry, and I just don't think national TV is ever a good place to air your dirty laundry. So for me personally, I kind of felt like she was being exploited in that moment. And then we get to the challenge, and she is the weak link on the challenge yet again. Probst even calls her out for being the weak link on the challenge. We get back to camp. We talk about how she's a weak link at camp. Everybody's talking about how to kind of mitigate the impact that she has at challenges and around camp if they keep her around. I mean, I guess that she is a good goat to take to the end or to take along for as long as they can, but the best way to not be voted out is to not go to tribal council. So I would think that, strength and challenges would have been a little bit more of a priority. And I guess what I'm trying to say, long story short, is I was really hoping that Karishma would go home this week. Stacey, sometimes you talk about like the value that somebody offers to the game of Survivor, or the value, just their value as a player. I guess I just think that Karishma doesn't offer much value to Survivor the show. She's just not a player that is going to make casual viewers or new viewers want to come back next week and watch the show again. I just don't think she's fascinating on any front, whether it's the social, the physical, or the strategic. Okay, enough about that. That's it for me, actually. My time is up, and I've just been a Debbie Downer for a week, so I'm really hoping for next week being a little bit more of a thrilling episode, but still love Survivor. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say and hear everyone else's feedback. Bye.
All right.
I think you wrapped it up with the boat there, Jen.
Yeah, she did. She found the half full glass right at the end.
You found your answer.
Yeah. Now as Jen was going through all that, and I was listening intently, I thought, oh my goodness, we really potentially could have had quite the fireworks on Lyro, and it didn't dawn on me until just now when I was listening to her. Jack and Jamal, what if they had gone for revenge? If they had used this opportunity? Because they could have highly leveraged Tom, Karishma, and Dean to take out Kelly, Nora, or Janet, and most likely it would have been Janet. I suspect they know how significant she was in the previous takedown, and we know that Jamal's been courting some sour grapes there, but the value that, going back to using that terminology Jen was just talking about, the value that Karishma offers is, here's someone who doesn't really want the money. And that's more valuable to me.
Yeah, I don't think Jack would have agreed to go after Janet, because I think he thinks he's very close with Tommy. And Tommy and Janet seem to have a connection. Mm-hmm. So I don't think
But you
Kelly,
see what I was seeing?
Maybe Kelly.
Yeah, she's very pragmatic.
Nora, for sure.
Exactly. It could have gone in a completely different direction. I didn't realize that until I was playing scenarios in response to the things that Jen was saying. So,
well, I guess there's not your big movers.
Yeah.
They don't have big move-itis.
Good for them. Good for them. There's a safer other game to be had for sure. And you wouldn't have cultivated the resentment so early against the bigger majority. I mean, there's huge risk with doing that, but it certainly could have happened, and given that Jamal was pretty sour about the whole thing even almost a week later, it could have happened that way, potentially.
So they could have been secretly courting the men, basically the stronger men, Dean, Tom, and then hoping to get back with Tommy and
possibly. And you would just use Karishma, since she's a vote.
Sure.
Yeah, she's just, like Jen was saying, she's not exciting from a viewing perspective. Like Shanti was saying, there's some value there in terms of sharing the dilemma with other people, but the whole TMI thing. Anyway, yes, I think that was I liked that analysis. Thank you, Jen. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here. I'll be honest and say that the tribe swap episodes are interesting to me, but definitely never as thrilling as the previous episodes. We're invested. We know for the most part who people are and how they are interacting with one another, again, for the most part. And then we change things up and watch people who have previously disagreed with each other come around and begin working together, while old plans die and new social circles slowly start to form. It's almost like starting new. Now, I'm not saying I dislike it. New and exciting plans will be hatched, but I find the tribe swap breaks the momentum of the show. That said, let's dive in, starting with Nora pulling Karishma's weight. And yes, I believe that Nora pulled more of Karishma than Karishma herself actually did. It's a good thing Nora wasn't at the tribal where Karishma explained to her tribe that although she can't do puzzles, she's a physical performer who can pull more than her own weight. And I do believe she even used those words. Yeah, I have a new respect for Nora. Hard to believe. Then at the immunity challenge, all we heard Jeff do was call out how badly Karishma was performing. And since everything, and I do mean everything, pointed towards Karishma being voted off, well, I knew it was going to be either Tom or Detective Dean. Still, I was leaning towards Dean since he had more screen time. And then there was the conversation that he had with Tom where he said that Tom was safe because Dean was the bigger threat. I choked when he said that, but Tom kept a straight face, which really impressed me, and I guess I should have known then and there that it would be Tom, but well, you know. I wonder if Dean now realizes that everyone else saw Tom as the bigger threat. Probably not. And you know what? I'm actually going to miss Tom. I didn't think I'd like him, but I did. He kept his head on straight and shot from the hip. But should Karishma have gone? I think so. By having Lyro shoot themselves in the foot by keeping Karishma, well, that ensures that they keep losing immunity and keep successfully voting off the old Lyro members, keeping the original Vokai strong, since it's an even and unpredictable split over at the other camp where who knows what would happen to Tribal. Safety in numbers, right? So in the end, yeah, it was probably a good move for the old Vokai tribe. So with 2 found idols at the Lyro camp, I'm expecting to find another one hidden for the new Vokai. And up next, well, I just can't believe that Lyro can pull off a win no matter how much the previews want to make us believe that Vokai is headed to Tribal. So I'm saying that Detective Dean will be lulled into a false confidence by Kelly and then blindsided. Oh, and Karishma. Wow, that was information that shouldn't have been shared on air. Ouch. And yep, I didn't miss Island of Idols at all either. Well, it looks like my time's up, so I'm out of here. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Paul brings up a fantastic point, and we didn't mention it in the recap. There is very likely another idol there in Lyro now
because
that
Chelsea's went home.
Yes, and guess who's there? The only person who knows where to look for idols and has found one. Jamal.
Yep.
He could end up with 2 in his pocket. Or how would you feel about this? What if Karishma found one? Or Dean?
Okay. I don't see Karishma putting the work in.
No. And they said that she doesn't leave camp. So
yeah, so
it seems it's unlikely. There could be one hidden around camp, or they could hide one in her bag, and she might discover it.
I don't think she really likes the out of doors the way they talk about. She doesn't leave the campsite.
Yeah, it was Dean who told us that.
Except more to go to the beach occasionally. But,
yeah.
So
yeah, just so you get as someone who's playing the game, you're thinking, man, this is a dream. I got someone who's got almost 0% chance of winning, to quote a famous castaway, and here she is, and she's willing to give us her vote. That has a lot of value. Yeah,
it does.
Because every time you're getting rid of someone, it's like, oh yeah, so it's not really. We're still, they're down 2. You know, we're really down 2, even though she's in the game. It doesn't count.
Well, they may even feel like, hey, she's an extra vote wherever I decide to go. I can take her with me.
You can understand why Missy was looking at it the way she was.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super smart. I see it better now. See it better because we're not normally provided a frame of reference or a window into how to think more about the social game, because it's so much of it is invisible, right? The social game is almost everything in Survivor, and yet it's an iceberg. You just see the top sort of surface features of it, and we're trying to grasp at straws there to make sense of the little bit that we get to see. And that's why sometimes you get to the end and they flip the iceberg over and you're like, what? We never saw that coming. And That seems like it's certainly the case. So I did want to circle back and talk about because I think a few people kind of misunderstood what I was saying with regards to sharing personal information, like Jeremiah shares from time to time. I've spent a lot of time thinking, as someone who's applied to be on the show too, a lot of time thinking about what, the kinds of things that I would do and what I would say, or, different strategies. So I would absolutely share personal details for myself. I know I do public speaking pretty much at least once a week because of some of the things that I do. And I know how important and significant from my experience doing that it can be to share something that's personal to help make that connection. And then everybody sort of gets on the page and it has a lot of value. Totally get that. My whole thing with what she was sharing was, who was it who said TMI? I forgot in the feedback, but it's like when you're sharing personal information that can have an impact on others, and that's what I meant about her husband.
Well, I think it was probably me saying you're a more private person.
That I'm an intensely private person, which was completely accurate.
That's
I
true.
am. That doesn't mean that I don't share personal details.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
It's a controlled.
It's managed.
It's managed.
Yes. And for effect, I guess. And maybe she was doing a little bit of that, but I suspect, like you were saying, if it's true, we weren't really given this insight that she didn't do, or she felt like she didn't do enough of that in old Lyro. She's very likely overcompensating in new Lyro, and that's led her into this space, which, yeah, that's really tough. So I just want to clarify that. I totally get the value in that, and I've thought, like I said, long and hard about some of the things I would and wouldn't share.
Well,
and things that I thought might help other people.
Your big
like
thing
Shanti
that
was
you
talking
said
about.
to me is, you felt what she was sharing, it wasn't just hers to share.
Right.
Because it involved her husband and her parents.
Yes.
And that she had not spoken with them about it prior.
Look at it like this. What happens if if she's there for the loved one's reward and her husband is the one who comes and she won't have any opportunity.
Something.
Yeah. How's he going to feel in that kind of scenario? That would just be horrific. And that's part of what I was trying to. I didn't do a good job of explaining it, and I get that. I confuse some people, but no, I totally understand the value in sharing personal information in terms of being relatable and what the significance of that is in the context of the social game.
You had already moved on to how they would feel, how it would impact them.
Yes.
Being blindsided with something that your loved one didn't warn you about.
Yeah.
Or prep you for.
Yes.
Was coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows? Maybe
Which
they
is
did
good,
talk about it.
Because if you blindside me.
Exactly, right?
you're
I
in
wouldn't
trouble.
want to hurt you like that.
Well, I would certainly
It would be
hope.
my personal information, but when it involves someone else like those things did, that's where I think she misstepped. I'd have a sense that that's a life less tested, and so knowing what these kind of boundaries are is very difficult in that scenario.
I would never want to hurt you either, baby.
Okay, thank you.
But we know I'm kind of a blabbermouth.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that last part, which I'm looking forward to, and maybe we'll see it on Wednesday, is we could get a huge curveball with that hidden immunity idol, the full powered one that's there at Lyro. Yeah, they'll be we'll go back to Island of the Idols, and someone's gonna potentially end up with another advantage, or they'll lose their vote. But the more interesting thing to me is that there's another full powered hidden immunity idol there, and Jamal knows the kind of hiding places that they're using. So it'll be interesting to see. And it's unlikely Karishma would find it, but how shocked would we all be if she did end up finding one and she did use it because they made a unanimous vote on her and she ends up making the call for who goes. All of a sudden she's got some agency in the game.
That's a lovely fantasy.
It's just very unlikely, right? There we go. Well, we had a whole bunch of Debbie Downer things for Karishma, and I was leading the charge on that, so I'll give her that potentially positive thing that could happen in her favor, that the potential was there. Let's see come Wednesday or as we head forward after the shuffle here where that might lead us.
I still think Lyra's going to lose again. Though.
It seems
I
likely,
can't help it, but
and it is just like Parker and some of the other folks are talking about. It's the Pagonging could happen, and it's not as exciting, and so they're going to try to jazz it up with the other things going on.
Yeah.
And they've got Island of the Idols to help fill some of that in too.
But if there's more throwing balls and baskets or something, then Dean's got a chance. So we could be totally wrong, and Bokai could be going too. So you never know.
Yes, yeah. It'll depend on the challenge, and sometimes the challenges will help. Seem like they help in that regard. But we've got puzzle solvers on both tribes. Kelly and Jamal, really good, proven at that. So it's not like it's lopsided the way it was before the shuffle. And
and Aaron and Jason, I don't know if Aaron contributed or not, but they did well on the puzzle.
We know that Aaron's done well before, yeah. Yep. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens there. What's going on with Lauren and what's going on with Elizabeth, because they both were pretty much purple. And we know Elizabeth in Old Lyro, she seemed to be the communications hub between the different power duos.
She might have seen the error of her ways, though, and maybe doesn't want to continue that here.
Or it's just taking her some time to figure it out. Yeah, which I suspect more than anything is the case. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Hey, we want to thank everyone who took the time to send in your thoughts and predictions this week. For some folks, it wasn't as enjoyable, but it was Survivor, and we still look at all the fun we had just getting together and talking about it here in the listener feedback show. So thank you for sending in your thoughts and your predictions, your analysis. Thanks for helping us see things from a different walk of life, too, different perspective on life. We appreciate that and the extra effort that goes into sharing those kinds of things. Thank you to Shanti for your donation, and we greatly appreciate your support towards our operational costs. That's always a huge help.
If you play in JSFL, don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time on Wednesdays. Pacific.
Yeah.
And just a quick note, I will not be participating in the next 2 recap shows or listener feedback shows.
Yep, you'll have to go alone with me.
And we know you do a great job all by yourself.
Oh, thank you, baby. Yep, we'll miss you here.
There's nothing wrong. I'm just going back for a family reunion, and my mother will be turning 92. So I'm going back to see Mom and go to our family get-together.
Yeah, I think you'll be back for the merge. That's how I think it's going to track.
Yeah, you think it's going to...
Probably.
2 more and then the merge.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay.
We'll miss you.
Thanks, baby.
All right, have a good one.